Hello, people. Welcome back to another episode of The Life of Clifford Fuggett. Just picking back up where we left off from in episode 2. When I actually left, when I went from Central School, my next school that I went from was Turl School. Now be mindful, all this is tied me into learning about my parents. So I was I can't remember what grade I was in when I went to Turl. I guess I want to say 6th or 7th grade, somewhere to that nature. Turl Tigers, that was right there on Washington Street in Denison, Texas. Had a lot of good memories at that school. That's where I learned to play most of my sports at, right there on that playground at Turl. They had a basketball court on the end of Turl where we would all play ball. Then they had guys that was playing in league softball. Teams like the Hobos, House of Soul, and Stag. When I was a little boy, and they lived out in, and they played ball out in Munson Park, I would run foul balls for them. I'd go get the foul balls and bring them back. Back then, they played with the ball called the blue dot. Any of you guys know anything about softball, they played with it. Blue dot. I had two favorite teams. I had the Hobos was my first favorite team, and my second favorite team was Stag. It was called STAG, Strive to Achieve Greatness. So I kind of adopted that STAG. It was called Strive to Achieve Greatness. That was a softball team that I ran fly balls for. A lot of the old heads that used to be down on the skyline, they all put together a team and they could practice up at Turl School on the big field behind the school. Those were some really good days back in them young days. Those were my young innocent days. Even though I was still a bad little boy, they were some young innocent days. So I learned to do a lot of different things. On those playgrounds at Turl School. Turl Tigers it was. A lot of fun memories. But I remember, I want to say it was around the weekend. I know we were all home. We were living on Parnell Street. We were all home. And the people that was raising me, which was relatives, Carl Ray and Effie Smith, one day they called me and Terry into the living room. I remember it just like it was yesterday. They called me and Terry into the living room and they set us down and they said, well, we want to talk to y'all about something. I thought we had gotten into some trouble, you know. Mom and Dad called you and said, we want to talk to you. I thought we were in trouble. But they said they wanted to tell us that, and they didn't beat around the bush or nothing. I remember they said they just wanted to tell us that they thought it was time that we know really who we were and what was going on. So they told us, they say, Terry, Cliff, we are not your real parents. However, we are your parents. We love you just like you are our own, but we are not your parents. So me being, I'm trying to tell you this as a little boy, back when I was a child, the thoughts that I was going through as a little boy. Now be mindful, I'm really lost for words because I was so attached to the people that were raising me, Cara and Effie. I was tore up when I found out that they wasn't my parents, because they were great people, man. They were really good people, really good people. To this day, I still do a lot for Effie Smith though, because Cara, he's passed on and gone on to be with the good Lord. I still go by and see her regular, call regular. Man, I was tore up because I just knew that. I mean, I didn't understand. Let me correct. I didn't understand. I'm saying to myself, what you mean you ain't my parent? Well, who is my parents? So then they went on to tell us that my mother was missing. And when I say my mother, my biological mother, Carolyn Louise Briggs, they went on to tell us that she was missing. And they were looking for her and all the above. Now I want to tell y'all, you thought I said I was bad before. When I found out that Carl Ray and Effie Smith was not my parents, I changed. Little boy, I became rebellious. I became angry. And I ended a lot of, now don't get me wrong, they were disciplinarians. I got in a lot of trouble for what I'm about to tell you now. But I ended a lot of my statements that I was made when I was being disciplined or whatever. I ain't gotta listen to you. Y'all ain't my parents. That wasn't good because believe it or not, they were disciplinarians. They did not play. They did not spare the rod. They put that belt on you. Do you hear me? So, but that still didn't stop me or stop the way I was feeling about the current situation. Learning that my mother was missing. Now be mindful, I still don't know who my father is. We hadn't got to him yet. And it was years later when I actually found out who my father was. But yeah, that's when my life changed when I found out that Carl Ray and Effie Smith wasn't my biological parents. However, they were relatives of me and my mom. Actually, Effie Smith's mother, and Effie Smith's mother was Ruthie Ransom, and my biological grandmother was Mandy. They were sisters. Yeah, they were sisters, and so I actually grew up, and I'm thankful, and I'm thankful that they took us in. I'm thankful that they took us in because you hear stories that when young children are placed in the system, 3 young children at that were placed in the system. They get separated and they go all over the world, different places of Texas, all over the United States, and they never get to see their real parents and their real family. You know, I do a lot of DNA ancestry reports right now, and people. I come in contact with a lot of people through my ancestry that are looking for their parents or their family. Period. They don't know anything about their parents because when they were placed in the system, they were replaced in different places outside of Texas or wherever state they were in. So I'm thankful that my Carrie and Effie Smith kept me and my sister and my brother with the family. You know, I can honestly say I grew up with all my family members except for my mother and my father. But that's when my life began to change. That's when I started to, whoo. You couldn't tell me nothing then. I was just turned into another person. Then one day I come home from school in Turl School. I remember it like it was yesterday again. I was walking home from Turl, you know, it's right around the corner. Parnell and Turl right around the corner. I mean, it wasn't but 2 blocks. So I saw this car in the driveway that I didn't recognize. So I think Terry was already there. So when I get in there, Effie Smith, who at that time I called Mama. Mama said, "Go get your stuff. Won't talk to you, but go in there and get all your clothes." I went and got all my clothes. Come back in the living room, and my caseworker, her name was Susie Meehan. She was there, and she came to pick us up. And she took us away from Carrie and Effie Smith. Now, I don't know why. I never questioned. To this day, I've never asked any questions because, you know, back then as a child, you know, you didn't ask questions. You just did what you was told. To a degree, even though a lot of stuff I was told to do, I didn't do because when I found out that they weren't my biological parents, it was tough. But Susie Meehan loaded up all our stuff. My caseworker, she was a caseworker from Bonham, Fannin County, but they had placed us in Grayson County. You know, not Grayson County. My Carrie and Effie picked us up from Fannin County, took us to Phoenix, and then we ended up in Denison. So, but when for some reason, they took us from Carrie and Effie Smith, me and my sister. We ended up in Trenton, Texas. Trenton, Texas. I ended up in school in Trenton. I think I'm in the 7th grade, 6th or 7th grade. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. Those was some of the horrible. It didn't last but a month or two, but those were some of the horrible days of my life when I was a little boy because now they took us from family and just placed us with strangers. They wasn't our family or nothing. But the people were all right people, but it was more like for foster children. Me and Terry wasn't the only ones there. There was a couple of more kids there that we didn't know. But I have to say, during those times like that, I was blessed to have a big sister. Because even though I felt like I was all right, I could take care of Clifford. My big sister, Terry Fugett, she was not gonna let nothing happen to me. She protected me at all costs, and I was bad, but But she protected me at all costs. And I'm grateful for my sister Terry. But anyway, I'm in Trenton, Texas now. Me and Terry in a foster home. 7th grade. Not knowing anything now. I'm totally lost now. Don't know nothing about my real mother. And then they took us from the family that raised us. And I thought that was my mother and father. So now I'm completely lost as a little boy. But anyway, I'm going to end there because I thought that I was strong enough to talk about some things, but I'm feeling now that I need to regroup on the mental. So until I talk to you guys again next Sunday, you guys have a blessed day, and thank y'all for tuning in.